You are looking live at night 3 of the Republican convention from the Quicken Loans Arena in Cleveland, and addressing the delegates now, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker. We are monitoring his remarks. We will bring you a portion of those remarks a bit later, and we should point out that in mere moments, Texas Senator Ted Cruz is expected to address the convention. But we want to hear from you at 1-877-Newsmax. That's 1-877-639-7629. And I can guarantee you that you're going to want to call in to talk to our next guest, because joining us from the convention in Cleveland, America's toughest sheriff, Sheriff Joe Arpaio. Sheriff Joe of Maricopa County, Arizona, it is so good to have you here tonight on Newsmax TV.
Thank you, JD. Thanks for having me. It's a tough week, as you can imagine.
Yes, it has been a tough week for law enforcement. And Joe, I carry as a point of pride not only our personal friendship, but the fact in a tough race in 2010, when I was challenging a powerful incumbent in the U.S. Senate, you endorsed my campaign. And of course, that common bond is the fact that we want to see immigration law enforced. And last night at the convention, Donald Trump Jr. talked about the mess we have right now in terms of immigration. Let's listen and watch.
They gave us the worst immigration system in the world, one that imports immobility, one that drives down employment and wages for Hispanic Americans, for African Americans, and for everyone. An immigration system that favors illegals over those trying to go through the process legally. And at times, even over law-abiding citizens.
And you hear Donald Trump Jr. and obviously Donald Sr., who will accept the nomination tomorrow night, absolutely has made illegal immigration and enforcing the laws on the books one of his primary missions. I'm just curious, from the delegates you're hearing from the people who stop you and talk to you, is that the key issue that brought Donald Trump the Republican Party's presidential nomination?
Well, you know, I'm an elected delegate, but I don't want to brag, but everywhere I go in the convention, they come up to me for signatures and, pictures. But the reason they're doing that because of my support on illegal immigration. And I supported Donald Trump from day one when he was in Phoenix a year ago. And no matter what happens, I know he's going to be the next president, but you have to understand he's the only one that opened the door about illegal immigration. Everybody else wanted to keep it under the table. When he went out front, said build a wall, it generated much interest, and they had to face the fact that we have to do something about illegal immigration. When I say they, I'm talking about all the elected people running for president. You know that, JD. You knew the issue years ago, but it's picking up. The people are more concerned now. And when he brought that up, boy, I'll tell you, it's great to see illegal immigration in the forefront again. And maybe something will be done about it by Congress. And I'm sure with his leadership, he will get something done about it.
And to that point, Sheriff Joe, the first night of the convention, the Trump campaign invited the family of people who saw loved ones killed by illegal aliens to speak. And one lady who's a fellow Arizonan from Mesa, Marianne Mendoza, stepped up to the microphone and offered these heartfelt words. Listen.
My son, Sergeant Brandon Mendoza, was killed 2 years ago by an illegal alien who was a repeat criminal. It's time that we have an administration that cares more about Americans than about illegals.
Given recent events, Sheriff Joe, to have Marianne Mendoza speak, it was doubly poignant on opening night, because not only was her son killed in an accident with an illegal alien, he was a law enforcement officer. And we have seen police, sheriff's department, law enforcement officers from coast to coast being targeted. I know that weighs heavy on your heart. And what is your take in terms of Donald Trump when he stepped out a couple of weeks ago to say, I am the law and order candidate?
Well, there's no doubt about it, because I've been with him on many rallies. I've been with him in private. And let me tell you, he loves the cops. He loves the veterans. He loves the military. There's no doubt in my mind, none, he's going to clean up this mess on the streets and clean up the terrorism problems and get the job done. I'm convinced of that. You know, JD, I've endorsed a lot of people for president, campaign for them, but this guy is something different. That's why from day one, my gut told me we have to get him to be president of the United States. And I believe when he makes a promise, he will keep it. That's his personality, and he will keep it. So I'm very comfortable. We have to get him as president and get the job done.
All right, Sheriff Joe, let's go to the phones and hear what some of our viewers have to say. And we'll go to West Virginia now to take a call from Esther. Hi, Esther.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Good. You know what? When I made this phone call, I didn't think I'd get through because West Virginia is never spoke about it. It is never like it is important.
Oh,
and
it's
so
very
I just
important.
Took a chance.
It's very important, and Donald Trump has spoken up for the coal miners and the resource-based industries and the people of West Virginia, and I think that's made a difference in his campaign. Tell me, as a West Virginian, as everything unfolded and Hillary had what she had to say about coal miners, how big a lift was that for your neighbors when Donald Trump said, I'm behind coal mining and we're going to continue to have coal mining in the United States?
Well, I'm glad to hear that because my father was a coal miner. And there is coal miners that is out of work due to the fact of make-believe political people that don't give two hoots about West Virginia. They got their pockets full. They don't care about us. And if Hillary gets in there, we just might as well plan on having 6 months of freedom because she's going to sell us right down the road.
Esther, we appreciate your perspective tonight from Parsons, West Virginia. Sheriff Joe, you have a mighty big county to enforce the law in Maricopa County, Arizona. It's about the size of the state of Connecticut, but you're also on the road quite a bit. And what you heard from Esther there in West Virginia, I imagine you hear similar comments from around the country.
Oh, yeah, I agree with Donald Trump on that issue, too. Why are we farming out all our businesses to another country? And you know, I was in Turkey, the Middle East, Mexico City, South America. So I have a little experience internationally, but we ought to keep the jobs here. So I commend Donald Trump for what he's doing for West Virginia. Keep the jobs here. And that's an insult to say that you're going to take away the mining industry, lose more jobs. That's not right. So I really commend Donald Trump for that issue too.
Well, obviously, you and I have been fighting against illegal immigration so long because it's just basically wrong. It's a national security threat. It's an economic security threat. And now with what has gone on in the Middle East and this administration trying to bring in so many people they can't screen, obviously Donald Trump made news when he proposed a ban on Muslims. Initially, Governor Mike Pence criticized it, but Governor Pence has reevaluated his position based on current events. Let's listen to Mr. Pence here.
In fact, in Indiana, we suspended the Syrian refugee program in the wake of a terrorist attack. We have no higher priority than the safety and security of the people of this country.
Do you think now Mike Pence is singing from the same page of the hymn book as Donald Trump when it comes to illegal immigration?
Yes, I do. Once again, let me say that's a good choice, but don't forget Donald Trump as the president. He will be the president, and he's the type of guy that's going to make policy, make sure it's followed out, and be the leader. So the job will be done because of the leadership of the President of the United States. He sets the tempo of what goes on in our country internationally. This is an international problem. You get rid of ISIS, you bomb them out, you kill them, you take care of the streets of America, clean it up, protect the cops. There's a war on cops. And that's what you have to do, send a message out to stop the carnage and the killing of all the police officers. And JD, I said 3 years ago there's a war on cops.
And as
When are we gonna
always is the
stop it?
case, Sheriff Joe, you have pointed out problems and people listen to you and they respect you because of your ability to cut through the nonsense and get straight to the heart of the matter. Sheriff Joe Arpaio, tonight from the convention, you've been getting a lot of pictures on social media with convention goers, and they're happy to see you, but you keep that tough image. You say America's toughest sheriff can't smile, but we're smiling that we had you on here tonight. Joe Arpaio, thanks, and more of our Newsmax TV coverage of the convention right after this.